Good evening and welcome to this edition of the Sportsden Live Show. My name is Dominic Papa. We're coming to you from the We-TV television studio. Glad to have you along for the ride. We're going to talk some sports in just a moment. As I do each and every week, though, I want to give some shout-outs to the Leamington Flyers and LaSalle Vipers set to go in the GOJHL playoffs. Good luck to Bill Bowler of the Vipers and Tony Prosky of the Flyers in their playoff runs. Also, Lancers, the Windsor Lancers basketball teams are in the playoffs, of course. Chantal Vallée winning a big game against Laurier this last weekend. They'll be at home this coming Saturday night. The men will be at home tomorrow night, 7 o'clock tip against the Toronto Varsity Blues. Good luck to Chris Oliver and the gang there. The Windsor Express basketball team, wow. Check this video out, folks. This is how they won their last game. This is the dying seconds of the game, and they were down big time. They come up with a steal here. And here's the winning basket with about 3 seconds left. Quinnell Brown's going to, I think, put the layup in. And this will give the Express, I believe, the lead at the time. No, they have a 1-point lead. And then time runs out on Mississauga. And look, he makes the shot from half, but time had run out. So the Express dodge a huge bullet and win. They clinch first place. And looking good for the upcoming NBL playoffs. Also, coming up this week on We-TV, the OCAA Men's Volleyball Championships. Yes, indeed, you can watch all 3 days live right here on we-tv.ca starting on Friday, February 27th, right through to Sunday, March 1st, all the action right here on We-TV. Good luck to the St. Clair College Saints volleyball team, Rob Lynch and the gang there participating in that tournament. If you want to get involved with the show tonight, we would love to have you come in and tweet in or Twitter in, whatever they call it, tweet in. And you can see our contact address there, Twitter at Sportsden Live. And if I get a chance, I will read some of the comments or questions that you may have for our panel or want to throw out there to discuss. And I certainly would love to have you as participants in tonight's show. Speaking of the show, this is what we're going to talk about tonight. The NHL trade deadline is just around the corner. Who will be the buyers and who will be the sellers? And what do the Toronto Maple Leafs do? We'll find out from the panel. Also, if time does allow us, we're going to talk a little bit about spring training baseball. The Detroit Tigers are back at it in Lakeland, Florida, and hopefully another pennant year for them. They'd love to get to a World Series. I'd love to see them get to another World Series. Hopefully that'll be the case. If we have time, we'll talk about that. Let's get right into our panel here and start talking about the NHL trade deadline. A good man in our community, works extremely hard for the Windsor Minor Hockey Association. Really love being around this guy. He also helps us with the Windsor Essex Sportspersons of the Year Awards, the Westbys. And glad to have him here in the studio with us, Mr. Dave Pickford. Welcome to the show, Dave.
Thanks, Tom.
Windsor Minor Hockey is doing okay?
Yes, we've had a very successful season. We're winding down right now. We got our House League Day of Champions up next weekend. We've got a few teams in the playdowns. We got our Adam AE team. They're traveling up the road to Orangeville this coming weekend for a playdown series, so we're really excited about that.
Yeah.
So things are going really well.
Yeah, I always love the job you guys do at Windsor Minor Hockey, that's for sure.
It's a year-round job.
It is. A lot of people
Believe it or
don't
not.
understand the commitment that it takes to coach, to convene, to do whatever it does to take that
Right.
thing. You and Dean Lapp here and the gang there just do a phenomenal job. Also, you found you have a home for the next little while too, which was really nice.
Right. We had a little bit of a scare there a few weeks back when City Council said that they were going to think about closing 80 Knox Arena.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, that just sent shivers down our spine, and we did a lot of legwork to talk to City Council and the mayor and just show them exactly what 80 Knox is all about. We've got a registration of 1,000 players. The majority of them play in 80 Knox Arena.
Mm-hmm.
And the City Council really wasn't aware of that. And the numbers that we do bring in, and our treasurer, Mario Panesi, really headmanned that and took the ball with that and met with a lot of the city councilors, took them on tours, went to City Council, met with the mayor in person, and just did a fantastic job. And City Council, I think, we opened their eyes as to exactly how important 80 Knox Arena is to Windsor Minor Hockey. And unanimously, they voted in favor to keep it open for this year and probably next year as well for minor hockey. Yeah. So that was great.
Yeah, well, great thing, and I was really excited and happy to hear that. And thank goodness, that City Council was willing to look at this. Kudos to them for that. Also, Mario Panesi, as you mentioned, boy, what a job he did. I saw the numbers and everything. He made it hard for them to say
Exactly.
no.
Yeah, he did his homework and did a great job.
All right, good stuff. That's all good news. Thanks for coming in, okay, Dave?
No problem.
Also on the show, boy, oh boy, is this guy ever lighting it up this season for the Windsor Lancers. His team is in the conference final. It'll start tomorrow night at the South Windsor Arena. The Windsor Lancers will be taking on the Guelph Griffins, and of course we want to see the Lancers advance back to the Queen's Cup and then to the All-Canadian Championships. If they do, this guy's going to be a big reason why. He's been a big reason why they've been successful all year long. Even though he comes from out west, we're still going to call him one of our own, that's for sure. He's from Grand Prairie, Alberta, but now he is a Windsorite just by his hockey skills and talents. I'm talking about Spencer Pommels. Welcome to the show, Spencer.
Thanks for having me.
Does Windsor kind of feel homey to you?
Yeah,
Little bit?
definitely.
Like-
Now
like you've-
I've spent 4 years in a row here, and
Yeah.
last couple of summers I've been able to stick around too and work on some hockey stuff with local guys, and it's become my second home now, and I really enjoy it.
Okay, we were talking before getting on the show here, and as mentioned, you're from Grand Prairie, Alberta. You actually won the CIS scoring title this year. That's for all of Canada, folks, that he won the scoring title. And nobody in Alberta was interested in bringing you into their school. I'm like scratching my head here, Spencer, and saying, okay, what was going on back then 4 years ago?
It was just tough. I mean, I played in a junior with a junior team that we didn't have a lot of success. So I was limited opportunities out of junior, and fortunately, Kevin Hamlin was able to find me a spot, and it's kind of just taken off from there. Our team's had a lot of success, and then I've just been able to develop and work on my game, and it's been good.
It's a great game, not a good game. It's a great game for sure. Guelph's the next opponent for you guys. Obviously, our fingers are crossed. How tough is that series going to be, Spencer?
It's going to be tough.
Yeah.
They're a well-coached team. They don't have a lot of guys that can beat you up and down the ice, but they do have they play a great team game. I mean, they're going to come at you with 4 lines, so it's a little bit of a different test that we've experienced so far. We're expecting it again to be a 3-game battle. Hopefully, we'll be able to get the game tomorrow night at home. And then just try to close it out as quickly as possible. But we're expecting a tough one from a team that's coming in hot, and they're going to do everything they can to try and upset it.
Yeah, Guelph beat Toronto to get there and get the right to play against the defending Ontario champions, the Lancers. Spencer alluded to it, game time tomorrow, 7 p.m. at South Windsor Arena. Game 2 will be Friday in Guelph. If a game 3 is necessary, it's right back at South Windsor Arena. So let's pack the place. Let's get the Lancers a lot of support and help them get back to an Ontario championship. Spencer, thanks for coming in. Good luck with everything, okay?
Thank you.
Also on the show, a longtime friend for sure. Him and his brother do a great job in our sports community. They've supported a lot of events. They have one of the premier events in our sports community, great fundraiser, the Joe Hogan Memorial Golf Outing. And they just do a lot in our sports community. We're very fortunate to have Doug and Dan Hogan in our sports community. Doug Hogan is with us tonight on the Sports Den. Welcome to the show, Doug.
Thanks, Tom.
Thanks for
Appreciate
coming in. It's been a while since we've had a chance to catch up.
Yeah, it's been a little while.
Everything's good with business. Hogan's printing, of course.
Yeah, we had a little meeting tonight about
Yeah.
the Wespies. I'm
Yeah.
excited about that for
Yeah.
you. And we're just doing our thing. The weather is bringing us down, but we're getting there. Baseball season's right around the corner too. So.
Yeah. You and your brother, I mean, because you're running a business now, obviously that's priority for you to take care of business, but you and your brother have a long history in the sports community, especially the football side of things.
Yeah, Danny's coached forever.
Yeah.
He's done a great job. He loves the kids, and the kids excel and do well. And it's nice to have them come back and always look us up and tell us how they're doing. And just even at the shop, we sponsor sport teams. We help people in the community. It just seems like everybody needs something or needs some help to get started, and that's what we're there for.
Let's get a shout out for the Joe Hogan Memorial.
Yeah,
You-
September 10th this year.
Okay.
Working on some details, but we go with 432 golfers. It's a one-day event, and last year we got unlucky for the first time. We had a rainout on 2 of the 3 golf courses, so we're going to pray for weather and hope for the best.
And I know you've given a lot of money to.
Yeah, we've done a lot. This is going to be our 17th or 18th year, and between the Cancer Center, who we've been with since day one, and the reason we started it was we used to have to drive our father to London, which was crazy, and you see a feeble old man in his chair going through chemotherapy. You got it back here, and we've really worked hard to make the Cancer Center what it is, and it's unbelievable there, the support they give to cancer patients.
Yeah, well, you've contributed a lot. We certainly appreciate that. Always good to have you around,
Thanks.
Doug. I appreciate you coming
Thanks,
in today. We're going to get into some hockey talk. The trade deadline just around the corner. I believe the Montreal Canadiens made a trade today, acquiring Devontae Pelly-Smith, former Mississauga St. Michael major player. Okay, I guess first of all, are there any surprises in the NHL this year, aside from the Leafs and how bad they are? But any team or anything that's happened this year that maybe is a little bit of a surprise to any of you?
Oh, yeah, Nashville.
Okay.
What a surprise. Last year, they didn't even make the playoffs, and they're first overall now. They've made some good moves, a couple of good trades, getting Ribeiro in there, and also getting in James Neal from Pittsburgh. That was fantastic. And now, of course, they got the trade with Toronto, and they picked up Franson and Santorelli, and that's just phenomenal. They're in first place overall. You got to take a look at, Laviolette, Coach of the Year. You never know.
Pretty solid.
But,
solid candidate for sure.
That is my biggest surprise from where they were last year to this year is just phenomenal.
Big on the back end defensively and
Right.
their goalies.
Oh, and Pekka Rennie in that. The number one goalie.
Pekka Rennie's always been a pretty good goalie, though. I mean, I don't think that was ever the issue with Nashville.
No, he was always a standout goalie.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think there was ever an issue that way. Go ahead, Spencer.
Yeah, I think he's always been a solid goaltender. I think seeing their GM make some trades and really go for it, I think that sends a huge message to the locker room.
Sure.
And, they got off to a good start, but you need your GM to do something like that in order to kind of keep it going. Sometimes you can run out of juice, but it's good to see him in a small market like that getting after it, and I'm sure the players in the room are just as excited.
Barry Trott's there forever, right? He gets old, and they bring the new coach in, like you
Right.
said.
Yeah,
and
Laviolette.
it just tends to bring everybody up, right?
Yeah, well, Barry Trott's doing pretty good in Washington, though. And I was going to say, there's my surprise maybe is Washington and even Alexander Ovechkin, how he's bought into Coach Trott and really brought his game to another level. Of course, he's got the C on his jersey now, and everything's just rosy for him in Washington.
That's some goals.
That's the team that I have been really surprised with. And the other team I have to say, guys, and you can take it and tell me I'm crazy, but the Detroit Red Wings.
God, barely made the playoffs last year. Young kids coming in this year. By far, I agree. I agree, Nashville. It's nice to be in the other division.
Yeah, well, I think that's helping their cause. Go ahead, Spencer.
Going back to Detroit, I think it has everything to do with their coach. I mean,
Mike Babcock.
when you have somebody like that, I don't think you can ever have a year where you struggle. I mean, they just continue to build players up through the minors, and you're seeing guys like Nyquist and Yurko and Tatar with some unbelievable shootout goals. I think when you're able to do that, and then you have a coach with this ability that Babcock puts in the room, and then also the leadership, and it's a great organization to be a part of, I'm sure.
Don't forget Devellano. He's the unsung
He's still
hero
around.
over there.
He's still around.
He's still over there bringing these players in from 6-7 rounds deep. The foreigners. The
Yeah, but
Gonzalez.
is that Jim Devellano still pushing that button,
Oh,
Doug?
yeah.
Or do you, I mean, we have to give some credit here, I think, to Ken Holland.
Oh, by all
yeah,
means.
for sure. Yeah, Kenny Holland's done a good job. The thing with Detroit is, they had the Zetterbergs and the Yzermans and Pavel Datsyuk that were superstars in their days.
But what's impressive about Zetterberg and Datsyuk, they were taken in later rounds, Dave.
Exactly.
They weren't first-round players. Yzerman was a first-rounder that couldn't miss.
I understand. What I'm getting at is that they're under the radar now, and now the younger players like Tatar and Nyquist have come up, and they've got no real people that are leading the NHL and stats in every which category. They're just solid all the way
they're just
across.
consistent.
All the
It's
way
a
across,
very
consistent.
consistent,
Their front end, their back end, their goaltending as well. So
Seems like such a Detroit thing.
Right.
Not have one guy that's really
Well,
carrying the load.
that's since Scotty Bowman came in, that's where it seemed to change. And of course, they went and won some cups. They told Steve Yzerman, you don't have to score us 50 goals a year or 60 goals a year. He bought into it, and before you knew it, they're contenders every year. And it's been since that, basically, that they've really been on this unbelievable roll. I think
22 years.
23 years, actually.
23?
Yeah,
it'll be 24 this
it'll
year.
be 24 this year.
But once
so.
again, the guys like Kenny Holland and Babcock, they get the recognition. But when do you hear Devellano's name? We're all sports guys from here, but you don't hear him getting the press. But it's the scouts out banging the pavement in Europe and wherever they got to go to get these kids.
They've got it down pat. Obviously, they've got such a great chemistry there on the ice with the players, the coaching staff, and then you've got that management team that just know how to push the buttons. Right. And, some players are almost afraid to get drafted by Detroit because you're not going right to the NHL with Detroit.
No.
It doesn't matter if you're a first-round pick. Yeah. You're going to go spend some time in the minors. And it's hard to argue that because you look at their record and the track record, and see how some of these players have come up from being in a mine. Tatar, as you mentioned,
Yeah.
Spencer.
I think,
Nyquist, all those guys
yeah.
spent some time in Grand Rapids.
I think it's easier to do that in an American market. I think when you start getting those draft picks in the Canadian market, there's a demand to pull them up right away, and you kind of see that with where that can go with Kadri and the kids in Edmonton. You know, sometimes there's a pressure to put them in the lineup. In Detroit, it just kind of flies under the radar. They do things they want to do. They don't feel pressure. I think, I mean, obviously it leads to some success. So.
Yeah, obviously it's proven. So,
Is Babcock in Detroit next year?
well, I'm hosting the show. I'm supposed to ask the question. Okay, come
You
on.
said have fun. I'm trying to have some fun.
Come on, eh? But that's a good question. Is he going to be back next year? I say he is. I do think, you know, he wants to see this through. As mentioned, they've gotten over the hump. You know, they've still got a couple of, I guess, older players, but they've got the young group in there and play stuff. This team could be really good for the next 6 or 7 years if you look at them. You know, with this young core of players that they have there. I think he stays for that
He's tight
reason
with
alone.
Shanahan, too.
Yeah.
And Shanahan's...
I get that, but who wants to go to Toronto right now?
Well,
Really? How attractive could
You're-
be
you're
Who wants
Toronto?
to get out of Toronto right now?
Yeah.
You're an NHL coach. If you go there and revitalize the system there, you're going through the roof. Your popularity will never be the same. You'll be a god.
I agree.
But you got to win, and you live in a bubble in Toronto playing hockey. That's part of the problem. It's not so much that these guys are not good hockey players. I think the pressure in Toronto is almost unbearable.
Yeah.
You know, you can't sneeze without it getting reported in Toronto.
And they're definitely sellers right now.
Well, let's get into that. You know, I'm going to sit back.
No,
Let you-
you're doing a good job. I'm just
no, I like it. You're just leading me right in. I'm good with it.
definitely sellers.
Well, okay. Let's see who's going to be making some moves. Susan's chimed in. Ryan Sheehan and Danny DeKaiser are 2 young players who've added to the Red Wings team too. Yes, they are absolutely. Again, all these guys that Susan's alluding to have come in, and the Wings have been very patient with them and have not put them in real tough spots where they're going to fail, and they've let them just basically work at their own pace. And now-
They've got 20 draft picks still in their organization.
Yeah.
They don't trade them away.
No, they're
So
very
you're right.
consistent.
They develop them and they do a great
They
job.
do it
at
their way, and it starts in Grand Rapids. I mean, it's the same thing there, you know. So, okay. With all that said, obviously you look at the Detroits, you look at maybe Nashville. You mentioned they made the trade earlier with the Maple Leafs. How happy are those 2 guys to get out of Toronto and be on a contender? You look at perhaps Washington. Pittsburgh's still a pretty good hockey team. The team that I guess maybe is a little surprising right now is Tampa Bay.
Right.
You know, heck of a year for them. And talk about a no-name team outside of Stamkos. I mean, you look at that lineup and say, who? What? And
Exactly.
yet they're winning, you know? So who are going to be the biggest buyers, I guess? Let's start with that.
I'm going to go back to Tampa. I think when you get, they're the same type of thing as Detroit right now, where they're building players up. I think Tyler Johnson's leading their team in points, and he's a guy that played a little bit in the minors. And I think when you have a guy like Stamkos and Victor Hedman on the back end, I think it's hard not to go for it. And same type of thing with Pittsburgh, but I'm going to go with Tampa.
You think they'll be the biggest buyers?
Yeah, I think so.
The most active?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But do you want to change a lot on that team right now?
I think you just want to add some veteran pieces.
Okay.
They're kind of young up front. They got, like I was saying, with Tyler Johnson and Stamkos. You might be looking for a third line center that can kind of provide some leadership and some stability up the middle. But yeah,
Okay.
Well, the trade deadline's not as big as it used to be. We all know that.
No, it's not, but it's still there's still going to be some movement.
Right, there will be. One of the teams that you might take a look at is Vancouver. Vancouver's always been there. They're kind of like, clawing, trying to get there. They come so close so often, and they just seem to miss the boat. And they might be buyers for sure. At that
Zach
trade deadline.
Cassian's name has been mentioned a lot in trades.
He has, and he hasn't panned out the way they thought that he was. They put him in the press box for a number of games, and he came back and scored a couple of goals, and he's picking it up. But you're right, he could be on the block. I think a team that really made a good move, and I don't think it was because that they wanted to make a specific trade, was Winnipeg with the Kane situation going to Buffalo, and with Myers coming over. I think that was a great deal.
Stafford's gonna help them.
Yeah, and
Stafford
as
too.
well.
I agree.
Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
I saw Winnipeg play at Detroit right after that trade. Stafford and Myers both played, and I'll tell you what, they were factors in that game. Myers is just outstanding.
Oh, he is.
I saw him at the Memorial Cup, and this kid's the real deal.
I
I think
wouldn't
that was a
have,
great trade.
Right on.
I would not want to play Winnipeg in the first round.
No, I
Without
think
having to
it's
go
a
there and
little
that,
scary.
that
Hutchinson
rain.
and Pavlik, they got a good team.
And the fans and
That
the
team's a little bit
passion, yeah.
scary. I agree with you on that one, Spencer. What about for you, Doug?
I like the New York Islanders.
Oh,
I don't
wow.
know where,
We haven't even mentioned them, but
you know,
yeah.
you get yourself a couple third line guys, veteran third line guys. You got Tavares, you've got these kids just playing great hockey over there, and they've got the goalie now too, right?
Yeah, the Islanders kind of snuck up on everybody, and they've been patient too. Garth Snow's done a great job. He's taken a lot of heat in the last few years, but
Both
he's
New
stuck.
York teams, even the Rangers too.
Yeah, he stuck by his guys, and let Tavares and Bailey and all those guys kind of work at their own pace, and now it's paying dividends for them.
Well, that's another team that was out of the playoffs last year, and you look at them now, they're in second place. Last year, they ended up with 79 points. This year, they got 80 points, and they got 20 games left.
Just winning hockey
They're-
games.
that's a hard team to play against. You mentioned Winnipeg.
They are. I saw them play as well.
And the Islanders, the grit, they got that gritty third line. And
Good Windsor boy there, Matt Martin.
Matt Martin, and I'm telling you,
Big trade at defense in the beginning of the year, getting Letty. And what was the other big name that came with that?
Boychuk.
Boychuk,
right.
You put those two back there, you've got
and
a
they
lot
got
of
Halak
experience.
in net.
Yeah, Halak's okay. He's not a bad goalie. He's
The
quality.
Islanders
goalie.
is that's another team you wouldn't want to play against.
Do they make trades though? Are they going to be a buyer, or are they just going to stay status quo?
I think they'll stay.
I
status
mean,
quo.
I
do.
We talk about the
Good
Red
formula.
Wings.
They've got a good formula. in the
You
dressing
talk
room.
about the Red Wings. They don't make a lot of trades. Are they going to stand pat? There's a lot of rumors about Phaneuf going there. I don't know if I'd want to rock that chemistry on the defense with Phaneuf.
No, he won't put his contract. That's a big
Well,
stuff.
the Leafs are probably going to have to bite on some of that if
would
they
think
make
so.
a trade,
If
you
they
know,
do.
with him or Kessel for that matter.
Right.
I think whoever those guys end up going to, the Leafs are going to have to buy some of it.
I think it'd be a big mistake if they move Kessel. I really do.
Okay.
It's a 30-goal scorer for crying out loud.
Well, I think
Not a leader, though.
I think he wants out of Toronto, to be honest.
I know he does. Oh, he wants out of
There's that
Toronto.
pressure.
Okay, we're going to get back at. We'll talk about that in just a moment. I want to know who are the sellers. Toronto obviously is one of them. We'll talk about that right in a moment when we come back to the Sports Den.
Adding new products or services to your brochure? Updating those drab business cards? Or looking to create a striking window display? In need of some screen-printed signs for that construction site or promotional campaign? Posters, vehicle wraps, and a whole lot more. At Angel Star Digital, our expert design and production team are ready to meet all your promotional needs. For samples of our work, check out our website at www.angelstardigital.com, or you can call us at 519-969-0712. That's 519-969-0712.
Hi, I'm Joe Quenville, coach of the Chicago Blackhawks and a proud graduate of FJ Brennan High. I can remember fondly my 5 great years at Brennan. It seems like just yesterday that we're there. A lot of great life lessons that I learned along the way, particularly from my teachers in the Catholic program. Want to wish everybody there good luck and look forward to being a proud graduate and being a proud Cardinal going on here in Chicago.
Welcome back to the Sports Den Live. Dominic Papa with you, and we've just been talking throughout the entire commercial break here. We're talking NHL hockey, the trade deadline just around the corner. Who are the buyers and who are the sellers? Before we get back to our panel, again, I want to plug the OCAA Volleyball Championships that are coming up this weekend out at the St. Clair College Sportsplex. WeTV will have all the action for you live starting on Friday afternoon at 1:30 with our first game. All 12 of the games from the championships will be aired live on we-tv.ca. Hope you can join us for that. Also, I want to give a shout out to the Windsor Lancers men's hockey team. They'll be in action tomorrow night. The conference final against the Guelph Griffins. Game times at 7 p.m. at South Windsor Arena. Make sure you get out and support the Lancers and help them back to another Ontario title. Dave Pickford is here from the Windsor Minor Hockey Association. Also, Spencer Pommels from that Lancer hockey team. That'll be in action tomorrow night. Doug Hogan, a great sportsman in our community and also one of the co-owners of Hogan's Printing. Okay, we got some of the, you know what, we didn't even mention, we just had Joel Quenville on a commercial, and a good Windsor guy again. We didn't even mention Chicago. Is this team just tailed off? Is nobody putting any faith in them? I think this team's pretty good.
Well, I think that's exactly why we didn't mention them, because they're right there. They're consistent, and they'll be a force again this year. They haven't done anything because I don't think they need to do anything, really.
You don't think they'll tweak a little bit, though?
They might, but they're still going to be a powerhouse without even tweaking.
Hosa Kane.
Yeah. You know,
Yeah,
it's,
yeah, Hosa Kane, Taves, I mean, those guys
I
are,
like Shaw.
I love Shaw in the playoffs. This guy's
Great.
just a nuisance, you know, out there.
But
I like the sandpaper Chicago has. Like, I love the Red Wing team this year. They're exciting to watch. But I really am concerned about the sandpaper on that, as they call it, the sandpaper. I don't know if the skilled, high-skilled guys that they have can live through the grind of an NHL playoff. It's tough. I mean, every other night you're going, and the intensity's up that much higher.
Yeah, I think I don't know if it was last year, a couple of years ago when they went to 7 games against Chicago.
Yeah, yeah.
I think it all depends on the type of
It was 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
actually.
Yeah, I think it just depends on the type of game that you're going to play. Yeah, and if you can dictate that. I know in that 7-game series, Detroit was able to play their skill game, and there was a couple games where Chicago was getting a little more sandpaper with guys like Shaw, but. I think it just comes down to what type of game you're going to play and whether or not you can dictate it. So.
Doug, since you're co-hosting tonight, if I can get my 2 cents in on
Please do. Go ahead.
the one team that I think will be buyers as well, and nobody has mentioned them, is the Pittsburgh Penguins. You know, let's face it, Sydney's still there. They're still a strong team, but I think there's a couple elements there that they have to address. And being that they have Jimmy Rutherford there, who's a wheeler dealer, he doesn't mind to make a trade. I think they will be buyers. I think they will tweak their lineup and do something there.
They do it every year.
They do it every year, and I don't think it's going to stop.
Right.
You know, I think it'll happen this year. They got to get. You know, I'm sure Mario wants to know who doesn't want a cup, but I think Sidney's still the premier guy, but
Has he
Malkin,
had that great of a year this year?
he's not having a good year this year.
No.
So.
Did you see the guys like Camo has popped up? And
yeah,
who else is down there?
Well,
Suter.
Malkin's there,
Malkin,
and,
yeah.
but I just think the shelf life there is not too far from being gone. So they got to do something in the next couple of years. Sellers, Toronto Maple Leafs.
Oh, yeah, well, let's face it, like I said earlier on, everybody wants to get out of Toronto, but realistically, that's not going to happen. They got rid of Franz and they got rid of Santorelli, they traded him. I think the next guy on the block is probably Bozak. He's probably the next person to go. And there's any number of other ones that can go.
They got to blow it up. They got to blow it up.
And that's what they're saying. But the thing is, it's easy to blow up, and then it's hard to rebuild.
Shanahan will do a good job. He's a good hockey guy.
He is, and if Babcock comes, then it'll be even better. But that's another story.
Oh, that's another show.
But you got to take a look at it. What are they doing in Edmonton? Isn't that exactly what they did in Edmonton?
well,
And
do they
Edmonton
start-
is
do
just
they
toiling
start-
away.
There's another one.
Are they sellers? Are they? Do they start selling this year?
Well, that's just it. What's your philosophy? Do you keep these people? And
You're not winning with them.
I know, but
Yeah, I think they were so quick to pull the trigger on the rebuild, so I think that's something Toronto's got to be careful of. And you have skilled guys like obviously Kessel and Phaneuf. And Phaneuf's a good player. He might not be the top 1 or 2 defensemen, but you don't want to make an emotional, quick trade at the trade deadline if a deal comes up. But I think again, Edmonton, I've been a fan my entire life, and unfortunately, there's not much else they can do. I mean, it's tough to get free agents to sign there, and
Taylor Hall has had a lackluster year. His stock will never be what it is this year, especially if he comes back with the injuries he's
very
had, the
injury
head
prone,
injuries,
that's-
the way the game's played now. Get them when they're hot right now. I think, how deep do they go? They got
make it-
Hopkins, they've got Nugent Hopkins, they've got Yapapov.
yeah, they can make a couple trades with some of those guys. It's just whether or not they're willing to part ways. I
Right,
know Yakupov's such a prolific scorer, has the ability
Well, the
to
thing
be.
is, they're going to have a high pick again this
Yeah,
year.
so I think you got to start dealing one of those guys and start getting some help on the back end.
It was brought up earlier. I've only got about a minute, guys. Evander Kane, you mentioned that trade. Does Buffalo flip him at the draft? Was that? I mean, that's what everybody's saying, that he was brought in just to get traded again.
I don't know. That could be it. It's
If it gets you Connor McDavid,
right, exactly. Yeah, why not?
you're going to have to give up somebody like that.
I think they keep him because I think their odds of getting McDavid are pretty good, and I think they like the idea of
I love
McDavid
the
and
draft
Kane.
the way it is now with
Yeah.
the percentages and how you can get the draft picks
Yeah.
now.
Quickly, the other team I want to throw out there, and they're on the fence right now, the Boston Bruins. They're right on the fence. As I said, they might make the playoffs, they might not. Do they sell or do they buy?
You talk about the Bruins. There's a big surprise in the other way. Last year, 117 points in the playoffs. First overall, and then this year, 67 points. They're talking about
Got his
trading.
numbers.
No, he's
They're talking
got
about trading Chara.
Yeah.
And geez, holy smokes, trading
I don't know how
Chara.
that will go
Who
over
would
in Bean-
ever thought that last
I
year?
don't know how that will go over in Beantown, though.
Yeah, no kidding.
All right, good stuff, guys. Thanks for coming in. We'll have to get you guys back in for the playoffs, perhaps, and get some productions going. Spencer, give them hell tomorrow night and the rest of the way, okay? For sure. That's it for this edition of the Sports Den Live. I hope you enjoyed it. Come back next Tuesday. We'll have another show for you. Until then, this is Dominic Papa wishing you a great night. Thanks for tuning in, everybody.